Hello everyone, hope you're having a great day. If you're new around here, welcome. My name is Salam, the teenager who talks about teenage stuff because there simply isn't enough of it on the internet. Today's video though, kind of a transitionary video as the videos go on. I feel like I'm talking about more and more uni stuff. Today, again, another video about uni, about my experience applying to the UK and how you can perfect your personal statement. I know this video is probably a little bit late for this round of university applications, but for the next round, watching this in the future, I wish you luck and hopefully you can take away something from this video. That deadline of January 15th is coming up very, very quickly. So if you are applying this cycle, then make sure that you use these tips and try and skim through your personal statement. Make sure that you're implementing everything I'm going to say today. Just before we get on with today's video, if you are new around here, I'd appreciate it so much if you hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you want more content like this, and turn on that bell notification because you know YouTube's algorithm, not very cool, doesn't recommend my videos very often, so it'll make sure you never miss another video. Just to give you a little bit of background about my education and why I'm talking to you about the personal statement today, I'm currently a senior, so that means my final year or sixth form, as many people call it in the UK, of the IB program. So I'm year 13, last year of school before I'm off to university. Currently, I'm taking biology, chemistry, mathematics, AI at a higher level in the IB with English, Langlet SL, French Ab Initio SL, and Economics SL. I'm currently predicted 42 out of 42, so that's a 45 overall because the 3 bonus points don't count. For people who take IB, you'll understand that, but if you don't take IB, don't worry, just know that I'm predicted the max amount of points in IB that you can get. About university aspirations, I've applied exclusively to the UK to read biochemistry, and I've received offers from UCL, Queen Mary University, University of Exeter. I'm waiting to hear from King's College London, and I got rejected from Oxford. I wanted to give you guys that brief piece of information about who I am, just in case you don't know, and also why I'm talking about this personal statement stuff today. Okay, enough talking about myself. Let's get on to why you clicked on this video, the personal statement. Okay, so I'm gonna split this video into different segments. So again, hover over the time bar, scrub through the video in case you want to skip to a particular section that you're interested in. I'm gonna try and make this video as comprehensive as possible, so feel free to skip through the sections if you'd like. Okay, first section, which is applying to the UK. So for those of you who are looking to apply to the UK, you're probably going to do so via a system called UCAS. It's an online application portal that deals with most of the applications that get sent over to the United Kingdom. Reason why I say most is because some universities, mainly in like Scotland and Wales, they might have a little bit of a different system, but for the majority of universities in the United Kingdom, you're going to use UCAS. Now this video isn't about UCAS, but with UCAS, you really want to start doing it towards the end of year 12. Meet with your higher education advisor, whoever's in charge of, university the applications in your school, and try and get that account set up before you go off for summer. Now, UCAS has a lot of different sections about there. Most of them are about your predicted grades, your personal information, but you also have a section for the personal statement. Now, why is the personal statement important, you may ask? Because aside from your predicted grades and your personal information, so your first name, last name, email address, admissions officers don't really know that much about you. Anyone can have good scores, so the personal statement is really where you have a chance to stand out. You also have teacher recommendation letters where your specific subject teacher writes you a letter of recommendation and uploads it onto UCAS, but I'd argue that the personal statement is more important. Now let's talk about the official specifics of the personal statement. The personal statement is exactly 4,000 characters. That's the maximum amount of characters you can have. You can go under, but you can't go over. Now, if you're browsing through UCAS, you might also see it listed as 47 lines. Just know that if you're fitting within that 4,000 character limit, you're also gonna fit within the 47 line limit. And if you're wondering how many words that roughly translates to, well, 4,000 characters ends up being around 600 to 620 words. The general gist of a personal statement is it's supposed to be about you, right? And it's why you want to study the subject that you've chosen to apply to university for, and why you're the perfect candidate to study that course. Now, it's really important that you remember that the one personal statement you write, you only write one, will go to all 5 universities. So don't mention anything specific like Professor James at King's College London really intrigued me, hence why I want to go to King's College London. No. Don't write that. Now that we have the specifics out of the way, we're going to be talking about what I like to call the essence of the personal statement. Now, many people don't realize that the personal statement is essentially an essay about yourself. Now, you're not necessarily bragging about yourself. I wouldn't put it that way. You're talking about yourself in the most positive light possible and showing admissions officers why you are the perfect candidate to study that course. Now, although it is an essay about you, it's not your life story. It needs to be predominantly academically focused. This is what a lot of people get wrong when writing and first drafting their personal statement. You really need to kind of have a major focus on academics, especially if you're applying to really competitive universities like UCL, like Oxbridge, like Imperial, like King's, you know, all those Russell Group big name universities. When I say academically focused, it's about what you've done academically, and it's about why you want to study the subject. It's great having extracurriculars like being on the football team, but that comes later on in the statement. The majority of your statement needs to be academically focused. This is a great bit of advice that I've heard from one of my friends that's gone to university. If your personal statement doesn't scream, "I will literally die and my world will fall apart if you do not take me," it probably means you're not showing enough passion. Okay, now don't take that literally, but that's the type of passion that you need to be conveying in your personal statement, and that's what admissions officers are really going to be looking for. Now, like I said, as insensitive as it probably sounds, admissions officers kind of don't care about your extracurriculars as much as they care about your supercurriculars. We're going to be talking about extracurriculars versus supercurriculars a little while on, so stick around. Now, when I say don't care, they don't care about extracurriculars that aren't relevant to your subject. If you have extracurriculars that are relevant to your subject, you know, like for example, you're applying for a law degree and you've done MUN, which is a debating competition, or sort of a debating conference, not a competition rather, that's perfect because that's an extracurricular that's related to the course that you want to do in the future, right? So that's a great example of a good extracurricular that you can include. Again, we're going to be discussing supercurriculars and extracurriculars later on, so make sure you stick around. And the final thing about the essence of the personal statement is that it's highly reflective. What did you do and what have you learned from it? That's really important. That's what admissions officers want to see. How has what you've done enlightened your understanding about the chosen topic? That's what you need to convey in your personal statement, right? It's not just, I've done X, Y, Z, this is why I want to study X, Y, Z. I've done this, that taught me this, and from that I was able to extract that. That's why I want to study the course. That's kind of the flow that you need to go through. Okay, that's the sort of essence and philosophical part of the personal statement out of the way. Let's talk about why every personal statement you'll encounter is different. Now, you may have already done this, but if you look up examples of personal statements, you'll notice that no two personal statements are going to be the same because they're done for different subjects, right? That's a new key thing that you need to get across. Every personal statement is specific to the subject. Now, for example, a law personal statement will be drastically different to an engineering personal statement, right? They're not going to be talking about the same things because they're two different career paths. Hence, you need to have the relevant information for that degree in your personal statement, right? So no two personal statements are going to be different even within the same subject field. No two personal statements will be the same. If you're looking for some great resources on how to write a personal statement, look down in the description below. I'll link everything I know there. Have a look at those. They really helped me out when I was writing my personal statement. Now that we talked about why every personal statement you'll see will be different, let's talk about the structure and what to actually include in a personal statement. That's what I'm sure a lot of you are here for. Now that I've told you that the personal statement is highly academic, you may be wondering how you can split up your personal statement, right? Most people recommend that you talk about academics for 80% of the personal statement and extracurriculars for 20%. Now you can go up or down on either, so you can talk about academics for 70% and 30%, or talk about academics for 90% and extracurriculars for 10%, right? It all depends on the types of universities that you're applying to, but generally, I think a 70 to 30 or 80 to 20 split is usually a pretty safe bet. 9 to 10 is the extreme, that's if you're applying to like Oxbridge, but yeah, 80 to 20, 70 to 30, that I feel is the sweet spot. Definitely don't go less though. I feel like 60 to 40, that's in the realm of too much extracurricular focus, not enough academic focus. Now the personal statement is structured very much like a normal essay. You have an introduction, you have a main body, you have a section where you talk about your extracurriculars, and then you have the conclusion. Now of course with that you need to write it like an essay, right? So in an introduction you're gonna have a really good hook statement that takes you into your main body and that you can really wow your admissions officers with. Again, don't go overboard with this, just something nice, something smooth, and something potentially personal to you. Of course, it is the personal statement after all. Then you have the main body, and in the main body, you can talk about things like your subjects, your literal school subject, and those supercurriculars that you've been doing. In your extracurriculars paragraph, of course, you're going to be talking about the extracurricular activities that you've done that are, of course, related to your course. Again, stick around, the next segment is going to be supercurriculars versus extracurriculars. And of course, in your conclusion, you're going to sort of round off your entire personal statement. It's a good idea to talk about some of your future aspirations, why you want to study abroad if you're an international student, something along those lines. If you're wondering how I structured my personal statement, I went with an introduction, talked about my IB subject, went into my supercurriculars, talked about supercurriculars again, then went into my extracurriculars, and then a conclusion. Now the structure again is up to you. It's your personal statement. You can craft it whatever way you see fit. But again, if you are getting stuck, just go with an introduction and start talking about your subjects. That's always a great place to start. Okay, we finally made it. Supercurriculars versus extracurriculars. What's the difference and what are they? Supercurriculars, importantly, are activities that you do outside the classroom that are directly correlated to your chosen field. For example, this can be relevant work experience, any wider reading you've done. Have you watched any podcasts, any documentaries? Have you done any online courses? That's another great one. Really, it's an activity that shows admissions officers that you're truly passionate about your subject outside the classroom, right? So you're not only doing biology in the class, you're also taking it further outside the classroom, exploring your interests outside what your teacher gives you. And this is how you can show genuine interest for your subject, right? Not just writing, oh yes, I like biology. That's not gonna get you anywhere, and admissions officers are gonna see straight through that. If you're wondering why the lighting looks a little bit different, it's because my main key light just died, so I'm improvising at the moment. We'll roll with it. Now you want to make sure that the majority of your personal statement is comprised of supercurriculars, especially if you're applying to those really academic universities, because it shows, again, admissions officers that you have a genuine interest for the topic. Now what are extracurriculars? I'm sure you've heard of extracurriculars before. There's things you do outside the classroom that might not necessarily be academic, like hobbies, so playing a musical instrument, participating in a sports team, taking photos, whatever it might be. Now, extracurriculars are great, but make sure they are relevant to the course that you want to be studying. And if you do decide to talk about extracurriculars, make sure they only make up about that 20 to 30% of your personal statement. A lot of people like to put it at the very end. That's also what I did, and I also recommend that you do that. It works pretty good. Cool, I hope that answers some of your questions about supercurriculars versus extracurriculars. Now we're going to be moving on to the rapid fire tips for how to write a personal statement. Tip number 1, academics are key. We've been saying that throughout this entire video. They should make up between 70 to 80% of your entire personal statement. And again, academics, they can be either supercurriculars or the subjects that you've studied in class. Tip number 2, less is more. Rather than talking about a lot of things in not a lot of detail, talk about maybe 1 or 2 things in a lot of detail and be critical and reflective above all else. Tip number 3, supercurriculars are better than extracurriculars in most cases. Again, each of these 2 things have their place in the personal statement, but with supercurriculars, they're gonna make up the majority of your statement, with extracurriculars making up the last 20 to 30%, and again, only if they're related. Tip number 4, show, don't tell. Rather than saying you have a particular quality, talk about things that you've done that have helped you improve this quality or develop it from the first place. That's what admission officers want to see. They don't just want to see a long list of things you've done. Show them, don't tell them. Tip number 5 is do not lie in your personal statement, because you will get caught up on it, especially if you're going to be sitting an interview. So if you take medicine or if you're applying to Oxbridge, you're definitely going to be sitting an interview if you get drafted for one. So don't lie, because admissions officers can pull you up on it. If they catch you lying, that's pretty much a guaranteed fail. And number 6, this one is really good. Focus on key skills that are mentioned on your course page. If you go to your university's website and find the course page for your particular course, they're gonna list key skills on there that they're looking for in students, right? So find ways to integrate these key skills into your personal statement. This is where extracurriculars can be really useful. So like problem solving. Maybe you've done a science competition where you've needed to problem solve. This is a great way to show admissions officers that you're hitting these key skills. Anyway, guys, that was my crash course on how to write a personal statement. I hope you took away some use from it. Good luck to all of you applying this academic cycle. I wish you all the best. If you do have any questions for me at all, please leave them down in the comments. I love reading all of your questions and responding to as many as I can. Once again, if you guys are new around here and if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it so much if you hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. It really helps support the channel. We've been growing like crazy recently, and I can't thank you guys enough. Anyways, without further ado, I hope you have a fantastic week in front of you. Happy New Year's. I wish you all the best, all the success with 2022. And I'll see all of you guys later.